How's it going, all my trans fans? Hope everybody's keeping it gay on this fine day. Now, Elita One has become a pretty prominent fan favorite in these past few years, and I'm really glad she's been getting some exposure recently from the Prime Wars and the War for Cybertron trilogy, and she's going to be in the upcoming Transformers Earthspark cartoon. We love to see her winning. And now she's back in Transformers Legacy. Charmed. So, I do propose let's have some fun with Legacy Elita One. So first, let's start with a little character crash course! Elita One first appeared in the G1 cartoon, established as Optimus Prime's Cybertronian sweetheart and the leader of her own team of female Autobots called the Female Autobots. She has the power to stop time, but can't because then she would die. She defends Cybertron while Optimus Prime is away on Earth, keeping up the good fight for their homeworld and looking after her own crew. Also, in a former life, she was known by the name Ariel. She was rebuilt by Alpha Trion and became one of the original Autobots. You see, it's easy calling people by their new names. Now, onto the toy. Getting into it, I really adore the colors. They immediately grab the attention with their unique palette of white, red, raspberry pink, and this lighter pink that's so lively I don't have a way to describe it yet. Like a pink starburst. But it looks so attractive, inviting, and rather friendly. Height-wise, I do wish she was a bit taller. If this toy was a Voyager class, I still would have bought it. I feel like she should be around the same height as Optimus Prime as a character, but looking at this toy by itself as a deluxe, it still seems like a substantial toy on its own. She has these long, imposing, powerful shoulders that kinda, look a bit like Minerva, just a little bit. They're neat and everything, but if you're not about that, you can bunch them down in the back with the rest of the hood, give her the full stunticon. Moving down, there's no shortage of paintwork on display here, and I enjoy the sculpt work nuances like the chest vents and the popped robot collar. Her arms are sort of just regular robo arms at first, with no car parts hanging off them, but at least the different colors bring a bit of unique pizzazz to them. They can really move around and articulate in just about any way you'd need her to. Plus, she's got that weapon port action going on. Venturing beneath, she's got some red robo-undies that kind of look like they could be a faction logo of their own. It's not every day you get to say that about a Transformer's waist. And her thighs are rather roundy looking, very Cybertronic of her. And I love how her legs are these red blocks with tires on them. And they can really move around with a great knee bend, as well as frontward and outward hip movement. And all that leads to the head, and it's looking pretty marvelous, bringing every version of Optimus Prime to his knees. The sculpt looks super, and the paint is picked out perfectly from the pink lips and the white on the face. And while this is a pretty standard expression, there's so much character implied in those dazzling blue eyes. She looks like a true leader. She looks authoritative, like she'd know what to do in a crisis. I'd follow her into battle. I'm just saying. The only slightly unsightly thing about her is this backpack of car parts. This isn't the whole car mode packed in there, mind you, but yeah, this is most of the front of the alt mode. And it does look pretty busy and cumbersome and makes her hard to stand. I know, worst toy ever, right? However, I think it's a good time to remember that this was her first toy. Oh no! Now, blasting off to some accessories, she's got these two translucent blue gun rifle things. Some of the detail gets a little lost in the see-throughness, but they work real well and feel real rad. Plus, one of them looks like Minerva's gun. I'm sure that doesn't mean anything. But overall, this is a really great robot mode that's kind of impossible to not love. It's full of character, charm, presence, and it feels so alive in how it moves and presents itself. As far as robot modes go, it's an Elite One. The transformation works as it should, and I think it's particularly inspired how the legs work. They're so simple but pretty ingenious. The only margin of difficulty comes with lining up the backpack with the arms and fastening it to the right place. But have faith in yourself, you can do it. And Elita One transforms into this frankly adorable looking pink Cybertronian buggy. It's so round and curvy and places a ton of emphasis on style. It's like a cross between a Beetle and those really flashy cars from the 1950s. Taking a closer look, she's got some nicely painted white headlights among these very alien looking red and white polygons. And the tires look amazing. The whites on the inside are so different from what I'm used to with these things, it really gives her a great touch of flair. She's also sporting some interesting Cybertronic looking line work on her windshield. And right on top, she's got a tiny version of the top of her head poking out. This is a separate piece, so you could leave it off, but why'd you want to do that? It gives the alt mode a bit more identity. Plus, it's accurate to the source material. It's a bit like Blur. You gotta have the top of the head poking out for no real reason. For the flavor. And she's boasting this bulky, boxy back with some dapper rose red and some neat features like the sweet spoiler and the Energon cap weapon port. She's also got her clogs hiding away in the rear, looking like they do real well with some zooming blast effects. Outside of those, she's got 7 weapon ports in this mode, so you can have her cruise into battle, translucent guns at the ready. I'm not really sure what else needs to be said about this. It's a gorgeous, different, bubbly looking space car. In the past, we've gotten this character as a big jet retooled from Starscream or a Cybertronian cruiser repainted from RC. So it feels great how we got this alt mode that feels very distinctive and characteristic to Elita 1 before anyone else. It's just a cute little cruiser blasting some good time groovy tunes. So that's Legacy Elita 1. It's easily another winner for the Legacy toy line, but it's also a pretty substantial win for Elita 1 herself. I feel like this is the first Elita 1 toy where this mold was definitely intended for this character from the beginning. It might see a reuse here or there in the future, maybe, but it was her first, and you can't take that away. And I really love how they keep bringing her back in some form. Maybe she'll appear in the Rise of the Beast sequel. But considering how she only appeared in 2 episodes of the G1 cartoon and had no toys during that era, it's super great how she's had this resurgence as a primary character in the Transformers fiction. As she should! She's a leader, she's a cool, iconic presence in everything she's in, and she has a strong relationship with Optimus Prime. You know, the character of Transformers? So I'm more than happy to see that she's finally getting her due respect. Not only is this figure Elita, but she's definitely the one.